Hey guys, Uncle Ray. Welcome to another episode of the Crypto Bellwether. On this channel, we cut through the hype and the noise, and we give you the non-biased information you can use to make better informed decisions. And guys, what we're going to dive into in this video is we're going to talk a little bit about the future and the big picture and which projects are the most profitable and most valuable projects in crypto. And it's going to help answer a lot of questions of how should you be measuring these projects against each other. Because guys, I hear all the time that it's about the tech and the tech's going to win. That's not true, guys. It might win, but the tech is only going to win if it has other variables like adoption and a profit, and the big money players get behind it. Because it doesn't matter, guys. I can't open a coffee shop with the best coffee in the world and expect to compete with Starbucks. I can't do it, and it doesn't matter if my coffee tasted 1,000 times better. I mean, look at McDonald's. Look at any fast food restaurant. We can all cook better steak and hamburgers than any of them, but we can't compete. Well, guys, that's what I want to talk about, and we're going to answer a lot of questions in this video. And what really got me started was I had a conversation about 6 months ago with a developer, and we were talking about how 98% or more of all these projects are going to disappear, just like the dot-com days. And most people agree with that because they're just not going to be needed. Well, I'm looking for the indication of which ones are going to make it. And a lot of times I hear people talk about the tech and the low gas fees and things like that might be irrelevant. Now, I'm not saying they are irrelevant, but guys, this is all going to make sense that you might be looking at things the wrong way, because we're going to dive into the most valuable projects in crypto. And for the most part, guys, if everything in crypto, if all these projects disappeared tomorrow and just the ones on this screen stuck around, we could probably accomplish everything we need to in the future of crypto. Now, I'd like to throw in HBAR that is not on the screen, and I really believe then we would have every project that we need. Now, obviously, new ones coming in would be great, and they may be what we need as well. But guys, if it's not on this screen, you need to think long and hard about holding that project long term, because whether we like it or not, the governments, primarily the U.S. government, the central banks, and Wall Street are going to pick winners and losers. And when they get behind a project and an ecosystem like they did with the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance, that they're going to pick those winners, guys. So that's something we need to pay attention to. And I hear people all the time, especially even some smart people, some developers, talk about how they can't believe PayPal launched their stablecoin on the Ethereum ecosystem. Well, think about it, guys. Your major players outside of a few different corporations, the bulk of all the major corporations in the world are building in the Ethereum ecosystem. Well, they have the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance. Think about it, guys. No other blockchain out there, period, has major corporations pushing their customers and pushing the world into their blockchain like Ethereum. Think about it, guys. The Ethereum Enterprise Alliance, created by like Microsoft and Google and IBM and Accenture and JP Morgan. A lot of major players around the world got together and said, hey, let's build on this ecosystem. Let's make it the one. I wish YouTube and Facebook and Instagram would do that for my channel. I would blow up whether I'm good enough to or not, if you get the point. Now, what we're going to talk about is a lot of different things, but I want to just get you looking, put a bug in your ear and get you maybe looking at projects a different way, because you may be stacking the wrong bags, or you may be holding projects that might not make it, but you're going to get a lot of information you need, in my opinion, in this video. So just hear me out and do with that information as you will. It's not financial advice, but guys, it's really good information. It makes you make better decisions. Now, I'm going to say a couple of things, and then you can hit that like button and we'll get started. When I used to work for Bear Stearns, we had a sign over the door, and it said if the majority were right, the majority would be rich. And the second thing I just forgot about. So anyway, let's get into it, guys. What you're looking at is the flow of money in all of the crypto systems primarily. Now, what China's doing and maybe some of the other countries are doing, it's not on here. But for the most part, you're looking at the bulk of everything that really has substance in crypto. Now, I'm not trying to shun on any project, but it comes down to this, guys: money. Because the one good way to look at crypto projects is just like Mr. Wonderful said. He said, think of these as small software companies. They have to make money. And that's why PayPal launched on Ethereum. Guys, when you launch on Ethereum compared to anything else, maybe you can get better tech, you can get better gas fees, you can get more scalability, you can get all that. But the reason you want to be on Ethereum is you have to have access to where the money is, where the developers are, where the adoption are, where all the other projects are, where the customers are. Right? I want you to think of these circles, guys, are who's doing the volume of making money in crypto. They all have different volume. We're going to talk about that. So I want you to think about this, guys. If you were going to open a bar anywhere in the world, well, Ethereum would be like opening it up in New York City. It's going to cost you an arm and a leg across the bar. It's going to cost you an arm and a leg for everything. Your fees, your taxes. The building would be 20x more than you could build it anywhere else. Your parking, everything's going to be extreme. However, you're going to have access to the richest people in the world, unlimited supply of customers, charge pretty much whatever you want. There's going to be a line out the door constantly if you can perform. Or you can go an hour outside of New York City, or you could build anywhere in America for a fraction of that and not have access to any of those. And see, guys, if PayPal would have built on, let's just say, the XRP ledger, then they're going to have a bridge to have access to everything that the Ethereum ecosystem has. Now look, another thing I want to bring to your attention, guys, is I hear people all the time talk about that Ethereum is old and the gas fees are too much and it can't scale, it can't do this. Well, guys, I'm not here to shill Ethereum. I just want you guys to think of the big picture and a different way of looking at these projects. If you're going to measure a project, you can't just measure the tech. You got to measure the entire ecosystem. If you're going to measure Ethereum against Algorand or against XRP or against Tezos, you have to measure the entire ecosystem, just like you would measure a football team. You can't just measure the quarterback. You got to measure the entire team. And guys, if 98% of all these projects are going to disappear, well, one of the big variables is they don't make enough money. See, a lot of these projects, guys, the only reason they're surviving is the founders and the early investors put so much money in there and they're dumping all the way for years to build out their ecosystem. Well, when is it going to make any money? Once that is all said and done and the founders and the VCs all made a killing and they've built out all these projects and they've paid developers, but the tokens, everything's fully diluted, then what? It's got to make money. Well, if you're on this screen, you're already getting the lion's share. You're already one of the dominant players. whether we like that or not. And that's why you have such a discrepancy of, say, what a developer will tell you is a good project, or what someone on Wall Street, or maybe a hedge fund guy or VC guy, compared to the average retail investor. And guys, if the majority were right, the majority would be rich. And just because some project has better tech or low gas fees, that's not necessarily the measuring stick, especially the lower gas fees. Me and you want that, but we don't matter. What matters is you got to be able to make enough money to feed those developers, feed that ecosystem. Anyway, let's look at what the discrepancy of what we're going to see. If you're not on the screen, guys, you haven't made any money to speak of, because it's like a cliff. When you get down past like the 25th token that's not on here to number 26, they haven't done anything. And really, when you get out of the top 10, it's insignificant. When you add it up, and I didn't do this, but I'm pretty sure if you take the top 3 ecosystems, top 3 projects that's on this screen, they do 10x more than all the other 22,000 projects combined. So what am I talking about? Well, the biggest player, depending on the circle, that tells you how big the size is. The biggest player is Ethereum. Guys, it's almost done $10 billion worth of fees. Well, you also got to stack the $2 billion plus that Matic's done. So that's $12 billion of fees in the Ethereum ecosystem. Now think about it, guys. If you are not on the screen, you might not even have done $1 million worth of fees. And you're going to compete against an ecosystem that's done 12 billion or more. I actually got to add all these fees and throw them in there. 20 billion, 25 billion dollars in fees. Guys, this really matters. Now, Binance has done about 4.5 billion. Bitcoin has done almost 6 billion. Ethereum has done almost 30 million in fees. Guys, that's why you have developers going into these projects. These projects are actually being used. They're making money. And people are using it every day. They're the ones getting the lion's share. They're the ones already being successful. Now think about it, guys. It's kind of like if you start a business right now today and you have to feed yourself as you grow, right? You're not borrowing money from the bank. You're not taking out big loans. You're starting a business the old-fashioned way. Well, you got to be making money. That's what these companies have already done. If you look at them like companies, they're making money right out of the gate. Look at Aptos. I don't like Aptos tokenomics whatsoever. I feel like it's one of those projects that are just created to make the founders and the VCs money. But they've already produced $35 million worth of fees. When you have other blockchains, and I don't even want to name them because y'all get your panties in a wad, but they haven't even done $3 million worth of fees in 10 years. And Aptos is what, 6 months old or less, and they've already done $35 million of fees. So what's that tell you? They're going to start growing that ecosystem. Developers are going to want to start going over there. And the other blockchains are going to want to build bridges to and from Aptos. Now, same with Optimism. It's done, $10 million. Look at Arbitrum, $22, $23 million. Avalanche. See, people could try to compare Avalanche as being the next Ethereum killer, that like it's one and the same. It's only done $21 million in fees, guys. Why would you build on that ecosystem if you're a developer? Now, I like all these projects, and one thing I want you to take away from this video is I would highly recommend go look at these projects, which I'll have countless videos probably on every single project, because it's just something that I've been thinking about. This is where the big money is going to go. They're using it like Moonbeam. I'll give you an example. Moonbeam has done $6 million in fees. That doesn't sound like much, and if you go look at the project, it looks like almost a rug pull, but the tech is great, and $6 million doesn't sound like much, but it got him in the top 25. And when you go compare it to probably the project you think is better than that, that project may have made only $100,000 in 6 years because the fees are 0.0001. Think about it, guys. How are you going to feed your family if you're charging that type of fees? So what we think might really be a good thing is low fees. No, guys, you got to have fees high enough to feed the ecosystem. So as it sits right now, the two projects that we hate the most because of the fees is Bitcoin and Ethereum. And guys, Bitcoin and Ethereum combined, it has the two biggest ecosystem and does the most transactions and makes the most money than the other 22,000 tokens combined. Let that sink in. Now, I'm just going to go through a couple of these projects so you'll know which ones to check out. If you want to subscribe, come back. I'll be doing videos on each one of these projects because it has got my attention, especially projects like this. Secret Network, guys, they are obviously using it. It's produced about $7 million in fees, and that's kind of like the Monero. And guys, that's the future. The regulation part's the only part that scares me because of what like they did to Tornado Cash, which was kind of along those lines. But some project is going to win the security aspect of being able to do transactions where people don't know who's doing what, and it might be secret, and it looks like they're winning. And then look, we can go into, well, let me touch base with a few real quick, and then we'll go into the bridges, which are pretty much the same. But you got Cosmos. See, Cosmos has done about $30 plus million in fees. These three projects I like a lot. They're part of Cosmos, and the SDK, we know that's huge around the world, and a lot of projects love that technology. But the EVMOS is the bridge, obviously. Guys, it's done about over $100 million. Osmosis, $80 million has been exported. $42 million has been imported. You got Juno's done $650 million in fees. Guys, these are projects. Polkadot, $74 million in fees. These are projects we should take a look at. Now look, guys, we can look at the bridges, which are pretty much the same. And I don't know exactly how that works, and that didn't come out like I wanted. It's pretty much the same projects. But anyway, you get the point. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for you. But I want you to think about what I've said is the ecosystem, whether we like it or not, of Ethereum and the projects that are on this board, they're the ones that are leading the way, guys. They're the ones that are creating a bigger ecosystem. Because no matter what you hear, like we hear announcements every day for different projects, but who's really building on them? Who's coming into that ecosystem? Because your top developers and your big corporations, especially if they're running a node, they want to be in New York City, which is Ethereum. Now, that doesn't mean a project that's not part of the Ethereum ecosystem can't be successful. Solana is going to be successful, probably. You've got Near Protocol, Avalanche, but they're going to have easy access to Ethereum's ecosystem. Now, 10 years from now, maybe they have new technology that all these ecosystems blur together, so it really doesn't matter. I don't know. But for me, I just invest bull run to bull run, and I don't care about what people say the future looks like. I try to follow on who's doing what, where's the money going right now, who's winning, who's getting the lion's share. And this is a very good chart to tell us how to think about things. Now, before I leave you guys, I'm going to do a video in the future and compare Ethereum to HBAR, because they're really two different ecosystems. Because the point I'm going to make in that video, and I want you guys to tell me in the comment section if this is something you have interest in. you have the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance. That is the big boys of the world pushing that ecosystem. But you also have the governance board in Hedera. And I just watched the podcast. I got a great video coming out about Hedera. I watched the podcast of one of the governing board members, and he talked about what all the board members are looking to do. Well, see, guys, the biggest difference is, see, on Ethereum, you still have developers, independent developers, all that new technology being created, and those guys got to get paid, but they're independent, right? Well, when you have a project like HBAR, see, they cater to enterprise. They have a whole different business model, right? The fees are not volatile. It's a set fee, and they did that because corporations can make a budget. But the point I'm going to make about that is it doesn't necessarily have to have access into the Ethereum ecosystem because it's building a project for maybe for climate, to follow their climate footprint or supply chain or whatever, right? They're not looking at all those customers. They're building very unique projects that they are going to use for their business, and they're probably going to charge fees to their customers for whatever application they're building. And see, guys, they have developer teams. Those developers are on the payroll, maybe working for IBM or whoever is building something on Hedera. So it's entirely different. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say that contradicts what I'm saying, but if you think about it, the Ethereum ecosystem and Hedera's ecosystem have two different, kind of roadmaps. But my biggest point about this is no other projects out there. Only these two, for the most part. The Ethereum ecosystem has the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance. You got the most powerful companies in the world pushing projects, owning, creating businesses in the ecosystem of Ethereum. But then you have the governance board in in HBAR, that is the only other project that has those type of powerhouses. Not as many, but they have those powerhouses pushing other projects into that ecosystem. So you think about it, guys. And look, again, I'm non-biased. I don't have a say. You don't have a say. But if you think about it, if you compare 10 years from now, let's just say Avalanche, to an HBAR, no matter where they are today, and you've got IBM, Accenture, Boeing, and all those major players on a governing board pushing projects into that ecosystem, who do you think is going to win? There is no Avalanche governing body or governing board of power players, right? They're trying to get big partnerships, but Hedera has them. Ethereum definitely has them. If they just got the power players that created the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance, it's going to make it. Much less the governments and the legacy banks that want to build the DeFi in Ethereum. Anyway, I know I'm rambling on, so that's all I got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Does any of this make sense? It's hard to put all this information together, what I was trying to say, but I wanted to get that out there to you because these are not stocks, guys. Holding these projects long term is dangerous. For me, when I work with my customers, I try to convince them, or not convince, take that back. I try to tell them my plan. I invest bull run to bull run. And look, guys, no matter whether it's on this board or not, it's going to come back somewhere between 75 to 98% or all the way after the next bull run. So why would you possibly stack a project outside of Bitcoin? Why would you stack a project and catch a 15, 20, maybe 25x and then ride it all the way back down 85, 95% and wait another 4 years? Take those profits, guys, because if you think about it, think about the difference. If you take $1,000 and you catch a 25x, now you got $25,000, right? Well, then starting the next bull run, you're starting from 25,000. If you take $1,000 and catch a 25,000 or a 25x, and you write it back down to a 2x, you got $2,000 starting the next bull run. That's kind of the reason I want to get you guys thinking. I'm not trying to shill any of these projects. I just want to get you to look at the big picture of what's really going on. Because another thing that's going on, guys, is the power players of the world, the governments, as we know, Wall Street, the banks, they are attacking crypto. They want to control everything. And I hate to say it, when it's all said and done, they're going to control probably 90%. But no matter which project it is, unfortunately, Wall Street and the legacy banks are going to control probably 90% of everything. And their lion's share that they already have is just going to grow and get more powerful and have a bigger gap, a bigger dominance, have more power, etc. in the future. Keep that in mind when you start stacking these projects. Because for me, I want to stack my pennies to their dollars. I want to front run the smart money. Because think about it, guys. Just like that ETF for Bitcoin ETF with BlackRock. Guys, you want to see the market move. Me and you can both go buy a Bitcoin tomorrow. Everyone ever watches this video, it's going to be irrelevant. BlackRock's first move from that ETF into Bitcoin with their customers, it's going to move. And I mean, it's going to explode. Unfortunately, guys, that's the way of the world. So don't think that the new tech or the new disruptive small little power player is going to disrupt the mega power players, because it's not going to happen. Just keep that in mind when you are looking to maybe not take profits in a 10x. And before you think that, let's just say your favorite project's a DeFi, but it's going against Wall Street, it's decentralized, doesn't have a big adoption, and the other competitor is Wall Street, and they're picking out whichever DeFi platform, that's the one that's going to win, guys. And that's the one that's going to pump, and that's the one me and you want to be in. That's the point of this rant. Anyway, that's all I got. I'm tired of ranting. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Hit that like button. Let me know what you think in the comment section. But guys, either way, come back and be part of this community. Take care.